Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So I just have to say, first of all, I'm poorly sick this morning, not feeling very well at all, got a headache. I'm hoping it's just a cold, not COVID or flu or anything. And my number one son very kindly handed me his germs, and yeah, I don't feel too good. So I have taken, I'm dosed up, but I still feel sort of woozy. So just to let you know that I may go on the avatar, or I may have to finish this live earlier. I'll see how I go. As long as my voice lasts out, I will be here with you. So I'm going to talk about three things in this video. I'm going to talk about Jack and Lily Sullivan. It's just been a year since Jack and Lily sadly disappeared over in Nova Scotia in Canada. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I played you the press conference from the police press conference there, the police's comments about it all. And I'm just going to show a couple of news articles because there was another search over the weekend and another boot print was found. Now, whether that boot print is connected to Jack and Lily, we don't know. But I'm just going to play you a couple of news items so that you're up to date with what's happening in the Jack and Lily case. Then I'm going to talk about Celeste Rivas and what's happening. Oh my God, that man, that David, DV4D or D4VD, I can't even remember, VD or Berkey as I like to call him. Um, what a horrible man. I mean, I honestly think the more, all the things that are coming out about this case, this is going to turn into like one of the most notorious cases of all time. Like he's worse than Brian Koberger, isn't he? He's just worse than everybody that I can think of. If he's guilty, of course. I mean, he's innocent till he's proven guilty, but it just feels to me every 5 minutes more evidence comes out against David, and he's he's guilty. How can he not be guilty? But anyway, he'll get his trial just like everybody else. He's got the right to plead innocent. He has pled innocent. How he's going to manage that, I don't know. Well, we'll see if there's a change in plea when it comes nearer to the trial. As I say, every single day more comes out about David that not only shows how evil he is, but how stupid he is. I mean, he's the worst criminal of all because nothing whatsoever was achieved by what he's done. How did he ever think he would get away with it? He's like, anyway, we'll talk about that when it comes to the time. And then last of all, I'm just going to chat a little bit about the Nancy Guthrie case, just a few snippets and things, because we can't let Nancy's case get away, can we, or go away? So it's funny, isn't it? So we've got three sets of victims. We've got Jack and Lily. Um, Lily, it would be 7 now, and Jack would be 5 now, but it was 4. There were 6 and 4 when they went missing a year ago. Um, so they're, young children, like disappeared from their home. So they're sort of different from, for example, Nancy, who is an elderly, vulnerable because of her elder age, not because of her young age, who also disappeared from home mysteriously into a puff of smoke. It's like they could have been beamed up to Starship Enterprise. And then we've got Celeste, who we know where she is, we know sort of what happened to her, but we're trying to work out why, really. I mean, seems like the reason is obvious in some ways, because apparently Celeste challenged her older boyfriend, famous singer David, and he didn't like that, and he took her out, literally. But it hasn't achieved anything. How did he think he would get away with it? Is he that stupid? Is his brain so drug adult, you know, that he literally thought he could get away with this crime? He didn't even cover his tracks well. So that's the three cases we're going to look at. So they're all talking. So, and Celeste, of course, was vulnerable too, not like for her age, but whereas Jack and Lilly were very, very young children, Celeste was a young teenager, I suppose, and maybe even younger than that when she first met David. So she's vulnerable for that reason. So all the, I suppose I've been thinking about victims. I suppose they're always vulnerable. That's why predators pick on them. They pick on older people because they're vulnerable, because they can't fight back. They're weaker. We get weaker as we get older. They pick on children for the same reason. Predators will always sort of weed out the weakest links, won't they? And that's what they'll take their sick, whatever it is, out on vulnerable people. The most vulnerable in our society are most often the victims, just because they're easy targets one way or another, aren't they? But of course, all these three cases are completely different. The motives will be completely different, probably. Nancy's motive, the motive for Nancy Guthrie's disappearance is difficult to fathom, isn't it? Could be money, could be ransom, could be spite, could be revenge, could be just pure perversion. There's a lot of possibilities. And it has happened to Jack and Lilly. We don't know the reason for it. Was it just to get them out of the way because they're, I don't know, irritating to someone? Or is it an abduction by some sicko who's preying on children? Yeah. And with David and Celeste, I think the motive is easier to understand, in the sense of she was threatening apparently to expose him. He was being investigated already for having relations with a minor. So sort of you can see his motive, but it's just, he was never going to get away with it. It didn't achieve its objective, did it? If the objective was to silence Celeste so that it didn't come out what sort of a, pervert he was, and ruin his burgeoning career that was just on the edge of super stardom, worldwide stardom. But it didn't work, did it? It was never going to work. How did he really think he could kill Celeste and nobody would ever question? Everybody knew about his relationship with her. She wasn't a secret. She was the worst kept secret ever. He took her traveling with him. He met her family. Anyway, so that's what we're going to talk about, these three cases. Hi, Daniel. Happy Saturday. Yeah. So we're going to start with Jack and Lilly. And as I said, I'm just going to show you these two news reports about the boot prints. Wow. Another boot print found. I think the boot prints are a plant. Let me know what you think, of course. Now, we don't know that this particular boot print, must like that video actually. We don't know that this particular boot print did belong to Jack or Lilly. There were other boot prints found, of course. There was a cluster of boot prints found in the early days of the investigation. But at the weekend, to sort of not commemorate, but like on the year, more or less exactly a year since Jack and Lilly disappeared, searches were undertaken again. And even Malaya, Jack and Lily's mom, she joined in the search. And look, this boot print was found. Just one boot print. See, to me, I just think you're never going to find just one boot print, are you? That's just immediately suspicious to me. It's like someone has planted it. someone maybe who knew that this search was going ahead. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to, oh, by the way, please don't forget to leave your DNA on the like button, the subscribe button, and press your notifications bell. Thank you to all of you who've already done so. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring about these victims. Special thank you to my members. Special thank you to those of you who are kind enough to send me Ko-fis towards my new computer that I need a new computer. Those of you or PayPal me or whichever way you support me. Also, anyone who leaves nice comments, sends emails, just participates in my channel in any positive way. Thank you. Okay, let's have a look at this.
You can see the index.
It's a strange place to find a small boot print, but everything about this case is strange. It's extremely rare in Canada for two siblings to go missing, seemingly vanished. Now, volunteers are taking to the woods once again, searching for clues.
We're just devastated that there's still no answers after a year. I can't really put it in words how hard this has been on myself and my family.
On May 2nd, 2025, Lilly, then 6, and Jack, then 4, disappeared. Their mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, and the children's stepfather, Daniel Martel, both say they heard the kids that morning inside their Lansdowne home. When the house went silent, Brooks Murray ran outside and called 911. RCMP and hundreds of search and rescue volunteers descended upon the property, spending days scouring the woods.
I searched all their play areas where they would play, like around the yard when I'm there. They have a little cabin that we made.
Now, here is Daniel. Daniel is a stepfather, Daniel Martel. He's suspect number one for a lot of people, which is stepfather always is going to be the most likely suspect. Oh, I tried to give Daniel the benefit of the doubt as much as possible right from the beginning, and he's not been arrested at the end of the day. He apparently passed the polygraph early in the investigation. Remember, he told us he couldn't wait to tell us all about it. He was on podcasts left, right, and centre. He was talking more than the biological mother, Malaya, was. But a lot of people think he's got something to do with it. If you look at his face there, it looks like he's hiding something. But you know what? I don't know for sure that he is. I have gone from sort of giving him the benefit of the doubt to now I don't feel so sure. Because also he's gone very quiet lately. Apparently there was another round of polygraphs. Did he pass the second one? I can't believe that he wasn't all over social media again telling us how he passed it. Suddenly he seems to have gone quiet. And of course, he may have been forbidden now to speak social media because he has since been arrested for domestic violence, basically an sex assault on Malaya, we think, though she hasn't been named. So he's not a nice person, is he, at the end of the day? But again, he's innocent till he's proven guilty. Now, this video, I think, was taken very in the early stages. And he's trying his very best to cry. Trying really, really hard to cry.
Search that. Then that's when I jumped in the car, did all the areas around, all the dirt roads.
The mysterious nature of the case has drawn international attention. The public and the family eager for answers and pointing fingers. There is little evidence apart from a piece of Lily's blanket found in a tree and a cluster of boot prints found on a trail near the family home. The lack of answers is what has brought searchers back to Lansdowne, including Brooks Murray. The children's mother has stayed mostly silent over the past year amid harsh criticism from online sleuths. But she decided to partake in...
and she has been quiet. I think she made one interview, possibly, right in the beginning. You can't blame her for being quiet because, you know, everybody's saying bad things about her too. I think what is very strange, I don't think Malaya's got anything to do with it personally, but I think she probably suspects that Daniel has. And I still find it strange that the very next day, after the children disappeared, she was gone from there, gone with the baby Meadow. And what if the children would have turned up the next day and they would have needed their mum? I don't blame her for going in the end, but the very next day, wouldn't you want to? Or maybe she was scared of Daniel, you know. I think there's definitely more to this case, isn't there, that we don't know about. And the other thing, of course, is that always sort of sticks in my mind a little bit is, was it her who emailed the school that morning to say Jack and Lily won't be coming in? Somebody was up at 6 o'clock in the morning sending the school an email to say Jack and Lily wouldn't be in. Was it her or was it Daniel or somebody else with access to her emails? Seems strange to me they were up so early, if supposedly they were really tired, and that's what Daniel, you know. So we don't know the full ins and outs of what happened the night before. Daniel was allegedly driving around, but that's not been confirmed by the police. In fact, the police have not confirmed anything. They're just saying it's a missing persons case. It's not considered a crime at the moment. They won't say there's no evidence they've been abducted. What did he say in that press conference? No evidence of been abducted, no evidence of foul play, no evidence they wandered off, and very unlikely that they will still be alive. That's basically what he said, so basically nothing.
This latest public search to show her support and appreciation. This small boot print was discovered near where the boot print cluster was found, and RCMP are reviewing it. Volunteers have vowed to keep searching these woods.
2 children missing is just bizarre. Whether you're looking at wandering, misadventure, abduction, accidental death, if
you look through the history of crimes or accidents or misadventure, as this guy's saying, it's virtually unheard of for 2 children to disappear. You know, children very sadly do quite often disappear, but 2 siblings. You know, I was thinking about it as I was driving earlier, and I was thinking, what could possibly have happened here? You know, if you think of it as a foul play scenario, what could happen that both children, you know, did one witness something happening to the other one? Or did they wander off? Maybe they are still in those woods somewhere. You know, maybe they did wander off and have a terrible accident. Do you know what? That's not unheard of either.
you're looking at those 4 scenarios, it's uncommon for 2 children to be together in either of those 4 situations.
Oldreeve says he's never seen anything like this case. 92% of missing children cases are closed within a week in Canada. But 2 siblings disappearing together at the same time is unheard of. Experts say when siblings do go missing, it's typically at the hands of a parent.
Yeah.
But
of cases do not look like procedural dramas on TV, and they can take a really long time, and we should still be looking for these children. We have seen children found after decades of missingness.
RCMP Major Crimes is leading the case, but say it hasn't turned criminal. Interviews, and they say they're making progress.
We've not let up the steam, and we won't. Our investigators, our parents, as I've said before, we're families, and we want answers as much as everybody else. We haven't stopped and we won't.
Cindy Murray, who did not want to appear on camera, says this latest search was tough for her family.
As you walked through those woods, were Jack and Lily on your mind? Jack and Lily are always on my mind. Always.
always on her mind and on the minds
So Cindy is Malaya's mom, isn't she?
of so many. And until there are answers, these woods will keep calling people back. Allie Thompson, CBC News, Lansdowne.
I'm going on to this similar, just talking about that. Is it that one? Or have I just watched that one? Hang on.
Discovered tattered and intertwined in a tree, this pink blanket is one of the appearance of Jack, subject of police polygraph examinations.
It was in an odd
This
spot,
is,
an odd
this
position.
is
It was just
the
drooped
previous
over.
video. Hang on, let me try and get that.
100% child size footprint. You can see the indents.
2 children missing is just bizarre. So the plan today, and people who've never met Jack and Lilly signed up to do another search. This is our second one that we've completed. I should say the second public one. We've done multiple just please bring me home ones that were kept quiet over the last year, and everyone is walking down a number of these trail systems and side trail systems from the pipeline. Many of these trails were not searched, not as a result of GSAR failing to do their job, but just because they were clearing a lot of the more obvious areas, the waterways, following up on tips and leads. So we're just kind of filling in some more areas, especially at this time of year. It's really not far from the family home. I would say maybe 1.5 kilometers, a couple kilometers. And the evidence around here was that there were child-sized boot prints located down the pipeline trail. No real direct confirmation that it's the kids, but we also could not debunk it either.
What are folks looking at?
Match the environment around it. This looks like it doesn't belong. That's what they're looking at. Any child size, anything is evidence. This case is very unusual. We haven't seen it before where 2 children this age had gone missing together. We have cases where pairs have gone missing before in their adult life, but it's usually because of a boating accident or a crime that they've committed. Children this age don't normally wander and don't wander far. To people to know that RCMP
Exactly. There is no other case that you can compare it to. You know, it's similar to cases of individual children going missing, like Gus Lamont over in Australia, or William Tyrrell, Madeleine McCann, I suppose, or any child that has gone missing. But 2 together, I can't think of one. Can any of you think? There's the 3 Skelton brothers. That's in America, isn't it? They've been missing for quite a long time, but it's thought their father killed them. And that was 3 brothers. But apart from that, really, I can't think of any similar case.
Here is just focused on the misadventure and keeping our foot on that gas until a resolution's met.
You've personally vetted the 40-odd volunteers who are here. Why that?
This was the first search that Malaya was going to be a part of. And we do have a responsibility to the families, especially the mother of the missing children. And we wanted to make sure that we were doing everything we could to make sure that the people have to ask.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I know a lot of people suspect Malaya, just like in the case of Sebastian Rogers, people could suspect Katie and Chris, or just like in the case of Summer Wells, people suspect Candace and Don. But, at the end of the day, there is no evidence. There's been no arrest. So it's not fair, really, to But imagine, not only your children have gone missing and you're going through that pain, and you've had an abusive partner. I mean, it just seems to me. I mean, of course, Daniel the same. I mean, he hasn't. There's no evidence against him. But I think we do know a little bit more about Daniel and his, he's handy with his fists, isn't he? Allegedly. But what I'm trying to say is, people quite often say, they said a lot about Katie Proudfoot in the Sebastian Rogers case. Why isn't Katie coming out and doing this and doing that? But you know what? They have death threats, these parents. They actually literally get death threats. When people go missing, not only children and not only in America, over in the UK, Jack O'Sullivan, his mum has had, weird sort of communications. People just, some people are just, shouldn't be let out. Malaya has kept a low profile, but she's out on this search. And, imagine having to vet the people that come along there because you couldn't be sure what they were going to do or say to Malaya.
We're advocating for the mother of these children, and we're advocating for these children. And I think the children would truly want their mother here. I've never had to vet people like this before on any other search. This case is a different animal of its own because everyone has an opinion. And it's hard to reason with those people who just are so strong in their beliefs for this case.
How's it going so far today?
So far, so good. I'm actually really impressed with all the searchers and how far they have made it so far. I don't think they're going to make it the full 5 miles, which is okay. It's really hard going in some of the sites. So a lot of water to work around, a lot of fallen trees to work around. I'm just seeing if there's any.
When you see the terrain like that, how could those children have just wandered off? They can't have wandered too far. And they're just little children. The brush is as big as them. They'd be literally, for the adults, the brush is like coming up to their knees, I suppose, and scratching their legs. But if you're just a little child, that'd be scratching your face, and you couldn't walk through it. But the problem is, if they're not there, where are they? Were they abducted? Were they walking along and somebody took advantage, saw them? It's easy to abduct children, even two, probably. It's quite easy. Or if someone like Daniel did it, if we presume that where did he put them? He still had to put them somewhere. But the thing is, as he moved them, as he put them somewhere, move them again. Or did they hide somewhere? Did they get scared, hide somewhere? And that's why they're difficult to find, because they're hidden.
There could be more up here. I didn't want to disrupt the ground, but this is 100% child size footprint. You can see the indents.
I mean, it's definitely a very small boot print. So, and it's on the opposite side of the pipeline from where the other boot prints were found. I immediately just kind of came out to the top of the pipeline where I could have signal. I texted that to the RCMP right away with the coordinates, and I just said we left it as is. So they'll likely, send someone out to check on it and whatever and see if it matches. I mean, the direction was coming from the woods out towards the pipeline and maybe about 20 to 25 meters in the wood.
Is it just me, or how do you get one boot print? How do you get one boot print just suspended there on its own? I think it's planted, personally.
I'm not a boot print expert. I can tell you that it's certainly a full small boot print, and it's in an area where the children went missing from. So, if we just factor it down to that.
I think the fact it's a full boot print is suspicious as well, because, you do leave tracks as you walk, but normally more than one, of course. But, would it be like a full boot print is like someone's picked it up and pushed it into the earth? Do you not normally just get like half a boot print? I don't know. Anybody a boot print expert out there, please let me know what you think.
and it's evidence that the police have to come and take a look at.
In your experience, is it possible for a boot print like that to be preserved as it was for this long?
Yeah, if you're not on like an open trail like this, if you got some tree cover, it'll survive through a winter like a boot print will. And if you think about it, if a boot print is on the ground, and then if it starts to freeze, it hardens, and you can see it do that.
Yeah.
And then when the snow goes on top of it, it's gonna.
That's interesting, isn't it? So he reckons that it could still be there a year later, but wouldn't it not have rained in between? And I don't know. And don't forget, these places, there's been searches out there before. Why did nobody see it before, I wonder? It wasn't far from where the other boot prints were found.
To stay frozen. So I've certainly seen, my tracks from summers prior in a wooded area search where you can tell where our tracks are. You can see your boot prints. So it looks well preserved anyhow. We had a human remains detection dog here as well today. The dog seemed interested in a couple items that were located. The way that the items were described to me, I don't think it'd be proper for me to say what they are, because I don't use logging to be clothing. And you could see there was like wonder before I say it's anything about a children's clothing. I want to make sure it's not just rags. So I just want to go and assess those sites really quickly, make sure I have the right coordinates, and then send the RCMP that information. And maybe it matches something that they know, but it'll be for them to decide how they follow up with that.
Ready? Oh my God. All right, got it.
What's great about these public searches is it creates opportunity for people who want to do this more to join. Last time we got 4 members of the public to join. Please bring me home officially and become searchers for Nova Scotia. And I think we got 4 more today. And if they go out every couple of weeks, we can just beat this area up for the search season, spring and summer. Ideally, people come every 2 weeks at minimum to do searches for the let up at all when it's children missing. And I'm not suggesting RCMP has let up at all, but from a search perspective, you have to revisit areas that have been searched. You have to, especially in springtime. There have been times where we have located people that it has been previously cleared in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
We searched.
Don't you think that these searches, really, you could literally go one day and then go the next, and find nothing the first day, and go to the exact same place the second day and find something, because you're looking for such small things. Now, we've got to be honest, a year on from them going missing, Jack and Lilly, there's not going to be a lot left of them, sadly, if they are deceased. They were little anyway, hard to spot anyway, but now we're talking about, it's got to be skeletal remains, hasn't it? And they will probably have been scattered. Sorry to be graphic, but it's true. So they're looking for such small things. You literally could just go over and over, you could go out every day. And of course, we saw that happened over in Tasmania with Celine Kremer. How many searches were made for her, in the early days when she would have been intact, not long since deceased. And finally, her remains were found 2 years later. A phone was found, wasn't it? Friends and independent searchers wouldn't give up. And this is it, you just cannot give up, because that next day might be the day.
And searched for this one missing man in Ontario, and he was eventually found, and we walked by him when he was likely just in the water, probably 13 times. And it takes continuous visits. You have to do it. I said this morning that we fail forward. So if we don't find them today, we're going to come back and we're going to continue searching until they're found. So even if you don't find them today, it is success, because it's closing every step you take in the gap where they could possibly be.
Washington Woods today were Lilly on Jack and Lilly are always mind. We're just that they're after a year. Again, hard this has been on myself and my family. I'll always have hope. We just, try and put one foot in front of the other each day and
That's what I always do.
Looking for answers.
2 children missing is just bizarre. Whether you're looking at wandering, misadventure, abduction, accidental death, if you're looking at those 4 scenarios, it's uncommon for 2 children to be together in either of those 4 situations. So it's not impossible. It's really hard to wrap your head around. Now, if these children did get on a trail together, they're less likely to back with what's in front of them. So it's just them getting on the trails or on the pipeline that I'm wrestling with personally about them making it there. How they get there, then that's the mystery.
Okay, so yeah, I wanted to talk about that, just show you this is what's happening so far in the Jack and Lilly case. A whole year's gone past. There were recently searches over this weekend and another boot print's been found, but it may not be related, it may be related, but it's something, isn't it? So prayers for Jack and Lilly for whatever, if they're not on this world, and then we say prayers for them in the next realm, but also prayers for their family and how they're coping. I just don't know how people cope in missing persons scenarios. It's got to be the worst thing. It's terrible, like if something had happened to them and the family knew something had happened to them, but they're not knowing where they are. It just literally, I don't know how, like you were saying, they have to get up and put one foot in front of the other, but I really don't understand how they do it, but I suppose they do it for each other. So bless Jack and Lilly. I've been praying for them this morning. All we can do is pray. Sometimes you feel like God's not listening in these cases, don't you? And it's sad, but you can't let stop you. You just keep praying, and one day hopefully some answers will be found. Okay, so that's what I wanted to tell you about Jack and Lilly. Now I want to talk about Celeste Rivas. This case, again, another awful case, but for different reasons, because Celeste has been found. That's how this case started, wasn't it? When this poor girl's body, I think she just turned 14 when she was found, though it's not thought she actually lived to see her 14th birthday. It's not thought that she was alive when she turned 14. Just reminding people, I'm not very well this morning. I'm poorly sick, so sorry if I'm sniffing and coughing and got some sort of a cold. Anyway, so of course the person who has allegedly done this to this poor girl is this talentless pseudo-intellectual prat. I've got this simmering anger against David because he's just such an idiot. And not only evil, he's evil, but these are the sort of pictures he was posting on his Instagram, and he was writing lyrics, romantic homicide, and he's virtually a killer in plain sight. He's got that much belief in his own omnipotence and how bloody clever he is. I'm speechless. So here's a couple more pictures of David. David is only 20. Well, I think he's 21 now, but he's still quite a lot older than Celeste was. And he groomed her apparently from when she was 11 years old. 11. He groomed this Oh, let me just turn that. That's going to come on. He grew because he likes little girls, obviously. And men like David, they like little girls because little girls think they're bloody brilliant. You know, a woman would not be taken in by this idiot, pretentious idiot. You know, there's the three looks of David. You've got the Harry Styles look in his grandma's blouse. You've got the mugshot in the middle. That's the real David. And then, of course, you've got the sideshow Bob. I'm an evil piece of shit, but it's only because it helps sell my records look. So apparently, so it's all starting off, isn't it? The trial and everything, the preliminary hearings. The evidence is starting to come out. There's overwhelming evidence against this guy. We can see now why it's taken law enforcement so long to press charges. We were all getting frustrated, weren't we? And you know, like, why has David not been arrested? Blah, de, blah, de, blah. But it seems like they wanted to do it right. And when they finally arrested him and charged him, let's hope they've got it all right. It's certainly all the evidence that's coming out. Now, I just wanted to show you, I've got a picture somewhere of Celeste, a new picture that's been released by her family. Celeste, all her photos, except for, I was looking at some photos from when she was very young, and I mean very young, like 6 or something. But apart from that, she's never smiling properly. Oh, this is a photo that we've had for a while. What do you think of this? I was looking at this photo. It looks like a mugshot, this photo. Let me just show you. You think that's a strange photo? Oh, she's never smiling or rarely smiling, Celeste, on any of her photos. I'm not sure how old she was there, but is it just me or that looks like a mugshot? Had she been in trouble with the police? I don't know, but or maybe it was a school photo or something, I don't know. But again, she's not smiling. She rarely smiles on any of her photos. It just, and when she is smiling, it's just like this Mona Lisa type smile, like very enigmatic, half smile. You know, rarely you see her with a full smile, you know, like most young girls her age. So you just think, why was Celeste such a serious girl? You know, so very, very serious. Now, there's been a picture released by her family, which I thought I downloaded, but I don't know if I can find it. Let me just see. I should name these files and then I might find it easier. Well, there it is. Yeah, let's try this one. So yeah, this is a photo that's been released of Celeste when she was younger with the family. Again, I mean, she's smiling, but it's not exactly an unreserved smile, is it? You know, she never looks that happy, bless her. Anyway, I presume that's her dad, is it, behind her, and that's her mum on the left. But the family have released this photo of Celeste. New photo of Celeste. I think I'll leave that up for a little bit while I'm just talking about what I want to talk about. So I wrote a little list of just the things I wanted to say about Celeste that are coming out here. So, of course, it turns out that Celeste was killed by 2 penetrative wounds that we don't know what caused them, but my money's on the samurai sword. There's David quite often like posting videos of himself with either anime or real videos with samurai sword. I think that's probably exactly what he killed her with. About 2 stab wounds and left to bleed out. Just left to bleed out. You know, and everyone keeps saying that one of the wounds was to her liver, and it will have taken her quite a while to die. It's not like a gunshot to the head where somebody dies instantly. You So it just gets worse and worse, this case. Just when you think it can't get any worse, it gets worse. So it's thought that he just stood there and watched it happen. What a horrible, horrible man. And this is a girl. He's not, he's like, he knew her, he'd been in a relationship with her, we think, since she was 11, 3 years. So it wasn't some girl that he didn't know or never cared about, or I'm not saying that's right. I mean, that's still wrong, of course it is, but just seems worse when it's somebody you've been in a relationship with. So it's thought that she may have had abortions while she was with him. She was taking contraception, the morning after pill, and apparently they argued because she complained that all they were doing was having sex all the time, and she wanted, and hanging out. She wanted more than that in her life. Imagine a 13-year-old having to say that to a grown man. I mean, you're just like, what? A 13-year-old having to say to a grown man, look, I'm not happy with this relationship because all we're doing is having sex all the time and hanging out, and I want more for myself. For fuck's sake. Sorry, I always end up swearing when I'm talking about this case because I'm so angry with this man. So angry with him. He's horrible, horrible man. Also, another thing that's being said now that's possible, because originally on her forensic, her autopsy report, where it was about pregnant, if she was pregnant, it said no. Apparently that's been changed now to unknown. They can't tell if she was pregnant or not because of the state of decomposition. It just gets worse, doesn't it? Just gets worse. And the other thing that winds me up so much about this case is so pointless. It's so pointless because he didn't achieve its objectives of David being able to finish off his tour in peace without this bloody 13-year-old that got too big for her boots, started getting jealous of him seeing other girls. You can bet you can bet your bottom dollar that there were other girls. He's a groomer, he's a PDF. And Celeste maybe was getting too old for him because maybe he likes 13-year-old girls or 11-year-old girls. And then as she was getting older and more womanly, and she was certainly starting to question their relationship, he didn't want her anymore, did he? Because he likes someone he can just control. Anyway, this is not like he took her all out, traveling with him. As I say, met her family. I don't know if she met his family. I presume she did. Everybody knew that David was seeing Celeste. He wrote songs about her. This wasn't just a one-night stand type scenario. He had a long relationship with this girl, and he saw a lot of her, and he went traveling with her. He took her places. He was on streams with her. This is not someone that he hardly knew. This is someone he knew intimately. And anyway, she's just a child. I'm saying, he had a relationship with her, but technically you can't have a relationship with a child. It's RAPE. Because she was under the age of consent, so it's not a relationship, really, is it? But that's, I don't know what. Just leaves you speechless, the whole thing. So the other thing, of course, is he had chainsaws. Apparently, cut up Celeste and in a paddling pool, supposedly to just. I don't know if he killed her in that, and then that was just to keep the blood up. Anyway, there were bits of this paddling pool in the, he ordered body bags, strong bags, all on Amazon. That's how clever this man is. He ordered them on Amazon. So there's a record of the chainsaws that he bought. Oh, but no, he was clever because he hid his name and he called himself Victoria Mendez instead of David Burke or whatever his stupid name is. How thick is he? How thick is he? Ordered them on Amazon. For fuck's sake, that is just, do you know what? It's insulting how thick he is. Did he think nobody? Oh, it's all right. I'm going to order it on Amazon, but I use a false name. No one will know. I'm not Victoria Mendez. Just where's his thought process? You know, listen. Even people of my generation, we've been brought up with Columbo. That was the depth of forensics we knew about when I was growing up. Nowadays, everyone knows about CSI and bloody DNA and God knows what. Young people know about these things now. It's there in the public domain. You've just got to Google it. When I was young, Columbo was about as advanced as you got. But even I knew that. You know, you don't order things on Amazon that you're going to kill people and cut them up with, for God's sake. How thick is he? Literally breathtakingly thick. But in the meantime, he thinks he's really clever. So, of course, now, because he did so much online as well, you know, so much on his Twitter account and this, that, and the other. There's videos coming out of the woodwork now, videos that he did. People can look back and see all these weird videos that he did. And ones he did after Celeste died, you know, talking as if nothing, you know, literally a couple of days after this girl died, he's all exuberant talking about his tour on social media, etc. You know, the coldness, a girl that he'd been seeing, known for 2-3 years, travelled around the country with, been intimate with, and he's murdered her, cut her up, and he's just going on telly like, you know, on live streams and things on social media like nothing's happened. You know, she was just something had to be got rid of, you know. Didn't affect him at all. Anyway, I want to show you, let's take that picture off because it'll cover up. I want to show you what a video that has come out of somebody apologizing for the smell in his home. So imagine that. So was the smell in his home because of Celeste? Let's see this video. It's on X. It's come out on X. It's been all over X. Because this is what people are doing now. They're digging up any sort of weird video that he's ever done or any clip that's come out about him. You know, people are digging into all that now. And they're finding things. So this David I can't call him D4VD because it's too fucking pretentious. David was seen apologising for a smell in his home 2 months after he allegedly murdered and dismembered Celeste Rivas Hernandez in that same house. Now, the thing is, I was looking at this girl here. I wonder if she's a bit I think everyone was probably a bit starstruck with David. You talk about a boy, a man, he's famous and he's on the brink of massive stardom and he's going to attract young people in entourage, isn't he? Who are going to think brilliant. People like Celeste.
Oh wait, y'all didn't have my bills for me. Can you put this in the bag too? Unless you don't mind. Can you put?
Oh, nails in the bag.
You, bro. I'm looking at your packing, bro. Go f yourself. I don't even get paid, guys. I'm not even getting paid for this bullshit, bro. This, bro. All y'all dead ass.
Oh. Now, do we make up? Yeah.
ABC.
Oh yes,
Didn't
I apologize in
care.
advance for the way my bathroom smelled. I took a shit around the
I don't care. I just took it.
Another one?
You know what? This is how young people talk, right, in it. Oh, look, he's shaking her hand because she's had an SHIT in his bathroom. So, in case you missed that, he said, "Oh, I would just like to apologise for the smell in my bathroom because I took an SHIT in there." So this silly girl, silly girl, says, "Oh, don't worry, I took an SHIT in there as well." Oh, for fuck's sake, is that the conversation young people have? Come on. Nobody wants to know if you've had an SHIT in there or not. It couldn't give a shit. But yeah, let's hear him say it again. So, yeah, I apologise for the way my bathroom smells. I took an SHIT. Do you really need to say that? And then she straight away jumps in and goes, "Oh yeah, don't apologise for it. I did that as well." And then he like gives her a high five or something. Fuck's sake. You know, that girl, do you know what? One day she'll probably get married and have kids, and she'll be famous as the girl who said to David, "Oh, don't worry, I had an SHIT as well."
I don't care. I just took it.
Another one? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Look at that guy's face. He's like, what the fuck? Yeah, at least the young guy, he was like,
Yeah, my pills for me.
what?
Can you put this in the bag too?
Bloody hell.
Unless you don't mind. Can you put?
Oh, his nails bring back.
You, bro. I'm looking at your packing, bro. Go f yourself. I don't even get paid, guys. I'm not even getting paid for this bullshit, bro. This, bro. All y'all, dead ass.
Oh. Now, do we make up? Yeah.
ABC. Oh yeah,
They didn't
I
expose your
apologize.
hair.
That's for the way my bag.
I don't care. I just.
Another one?
I'm not trying to talk about it. Yeah. Guys, God, that young lad, it's just like, oh. So, yeah, at least in the looks more sensible. Let me just show that. I don't want to see that again. But yeah, then there was some other things I wanted to show you on next. Here's a few. Sorry. So you can imagine all the videos that are coming out now about David. You know, because if people will be looking back through all these, you know, all these media output, social media output, and finding things. So apparently, the other thing that apparently he did was he went 3 times to Santa Barbara to dump Celeste's belongings, and that's where her passport was found. And of course, he was seen on the license plate reader. You know, the police know that he went there. How did he think he would not? He wouldn't, let's have a look at this actually on it. Even if he thought he left his phone at home and he thought that he wouldn't be detected if he left his phone at home. But these license plate readers, you know, they knew his car because they were in it. It was registered in his name. I mean, how stupid is this guy? It's like he's gonna go down in history, not only for, I think this is going to go down as one of the worst crimes ever. It's horrible, horrible. But also just one of the dumbest criminals ever. You know, how could you get any thicker than this guy? You know, he thought he'd covered his tracks, but he hadn't, had he? He literally had not. Anyway, let's have a look at this video. So it's just a video of the road where he travelled up. This is Steve Fisher on X. This is the video, you know, the road that he travelled along to dispose of Celeste's belongings 3 times. And SF Steve Fisher says, one may wonder how David could be so dumb to leave his cell phone on all 3 times he came out. So, you know, the cell phone was on and he came out 3 times to the SR 154 in Santa Barbara, the the same road that Celeste's passport was found. Maybe he didn't bring the phone, but he didn't think about the license plate reader. So Steve just is shown a video travelling up that road. So this, and this is her grave site. People have been laying flowers for her, bless her. You know, it's all over social media, isn't it? This Celeste case. People now are accusing Celeste. Oh, because of course it is funny about the family, about her family, because apparently they knew that she was seeing David, and they tried to stop her seeing David. They took her phone off her, and David then paid another student at her school $1,000 to give her a burner phone so that she could keep in contact with him. So that didn't work. Then some people are saying that David gave Celeste's dad hush money, but he's saying no, he never received any money from David. So, you know, you have to make of these things what you will. You know, was David, were the family, how aware were the family? You know, it seems to me it's not only the family. I think everybody knew about their relationship. His friends knew. You know, everybody knew he was seeing Celeste. It wasn't a secret relationship. That's what I'm trying to say. So that just means to me, how did nobody question, you know, for God's sake, how old is that girl? You know, she did look a little bit older maybe than she was. Later on, let's show a more up-to-date picture of her. She probably does not look 14. You know, maybe she does look 16, but I don't know what the age of consent is in Florida, but she doesn't look that old, does she? Oh, and apparently now as well, another thing that's coming out now is David had been told she was a minor, because he's saying, oh, I didn't know she was a minor. Well, he did, because he was under investigation for having a relationship with a minor. He was told by law enforcement she was a minor. So it's not true. Again, more lies that he thinks aren't going to come out. I think, you know what, I think David, he'll be like, God, you know, when all this evidence comes out, that his defense lawyer will be saying to him, oh, look, this has come out now. Oh, look, this has come out now. I think in the end, his defense lawyer is going to turn around to him and say, I think you should plead guilty, because otherwise you're going to get the death penalty. So, yeah, later pictures. Let's just look one more time at this younger picture of Celeste. And as I said, I'd be interested for anyone. Does anyone know this particular photo? Why does it just look like a mugshot to me? Had she been arrested for anything? Like, it seems like she was taking drugs. He'd introduced her to drugs, so wonder if it is a mugshot, or maybe not. Maybe just I don't know. Is it just me, or does it look like a mugshot? Let me know what you think. And then this is the latest photo released by the family. Oh, you know, you wish you could freeze them in time at that sort of age, don't you? You know, any of you who've got children out there that have since become either teenagers or young adults, you know that these times when they're round about, I think 8 is like a perfect age, isn't it? So they've grown out of the terrible 2s. And you know, all that, and they're not a baby, so you know, you do have, you know, that you can talk to them, they love you. You know, I think when they're, most children, when they're 8, 9 years old, even up to 10, 11, whenever the hormones kick in, that's the best age, I think, for you as a parent, where you have the best relationship with them, you know, they love you the most. And and then of course they become teenagers and it all goes wrong. That's just the way it is. It's the same for everyone. Puberty is hard. It's hard to get through puberty for the child themselves, but also I think for parents, etc., because you do see a change in their personality as they're grappling with growing up. Growing up is hard, but that's when it all seems so difficult, and then they get involved with the wrong person or the wrong crowd, and you've got all that to contend with, and they don't care what you think, they only care what their friends think. You know nothing. And I was thinking that's it with David, isn't it? He, even though he wasn't a teenager, he was 20, but he's at that age where you think you know everything. He thought he was cleverer than everybody else. When you get old, that's how you feel at that age, isn't it? You do feel a bit omnipotent, because everything's black and white, isn't it? This is right, that's wrong. Everything your parents say is crap. Everything your friends say is true. You don't listen. That's just a phase that you go through. And then, of course, as you get older, you realise you actually know nothing. Life is so grey. It's not black and white. There's grey areas everywhere. You question every decision you make. So I don't wish I was young again, to be honest. Certainly not teenager young, because it is a horrible time for everyone, and I think it was for me as well. The only thing I miss about you being young is that sureness in your beliefs. I've always been an opinionated person. I have strong opinions about things. I hold up my hands to it. That's the way I am. And I'm still a bit like that, but everything's much more of a grey area now. Whereas I think when you're young, it's like, yes, that's right, that's wrong. And you are supreme in your belief that you are right, Whereas I do think as you get older, it's like, and you try and see all sides of everything. So if there's anything that I do miss about being young, it's just that complete certainty that you're right and everybody else is wrong. It's quite sort of scary, really, isn't it? So I think that's it with David, because he's one of them, isn't he? Everything he does is right, and he's cleverer than the police. He's cleverer than Celeste. He's cleverer than Celeste's family. He's cleverer than his friends. He's cleverer than the music industry that is going to pay him all this money. He's just supreme in his cleverness. But not anymore, though. I think you can see in his face. I did think when I saw him on his court appearance, he looks like he's had a big shock, because all that time it went before he was arrested, he must have thought, I'm going to get away with this. They can't pin it on me. Even though she'd been found in his car, in the car registered to him, and he'd made all these mistakes and ordered the bloody murder weapon on Amazon and the chainsaws and everything on Amazon. Did he really think the police wouldn't realise he'd ordered that? As I say, I've been brought up with Columbo, but even I know that if you order a chainsaw on Amazon, and don't forget, if you haven't got a garden, or any reason that you would want a chainsaw for, people are going to look at it and say, why did you order this chainsaw just after Celeste Rivas was murdered? Did he really think they wouldn't notice? Because he called himself Victoria Mendez. So he thought, oh, nobody will know. Crazy. Anyway, so more prayers, please. We're praying 24 hours a day at the moment for these victims. But prayers for Celeste, bless her. And I just hope we get justice for her, just the same as Jack and Lilly. So what we're going to talk about now is, I need to take that picture off. How do I take that? We're going to talk about Nancy now. So let me change the picture up in the corner. Now, as far as I know, to making this video, no new developments, really. You know, this is another case, again, very vulnerable person. This person vulnerable because of their age, 84 years old, stolen from their bed, literally in the middle of the night by some unknown twonk. My personal opinion is this is a staged kidnapping. I don't think there was ever a kidnapping. I think they went there for Nancy for some reason. I don't know what the reason is. You know, if I knew what the reason was, I would have solved the case, of course. But I think it's to do with money. Personally, I think it is to do with money. I think this person, whoever it is, I think they owed Nancy money, possibly, and there was a job they were supposed to do for her, and they didn't do it for her. And I think it's somebody local. I think it's somebody who knows Nancy well. I'm not saying it's a member of the family. It could be anyone, but somebody who knows her and her house well. And I don't mean necessarily in a friend type respect, but because they've been there often for whatever reason. That's what I believe. That's my theory. That's my hypothesis on this case, and I could be completely wrong. But it's the only way it makes sense to me. I think this person is local. They were so comfortable going to Nancy's house. They didn't look panicky at all. They know that house, and it's pitch black. And if you didn't know that house, that area, I don't think you would be quite so cavalier as this person was. Anyway, that's my tuppence halfpenny or whatever. That's just what I think. So I think they went there for Nancy, to kill Nancy, personally. I don't think they went there to kidnap her. I think they went there to kill her, because I think maybe they owe her money. Now, I've been watching a few sort of crime documentaries about similar cases, not where the person was kidnapped, because I think the kidnap is just staged, personally. But I've seen a few crime documentaries where it was a contractor, one that I watched just recently, a 60-something-year-old lady. She was actually found deceased in her home. And of course, so it was somebody who was supposed to be renovating her home, and she'd paid them up front, massive amount of money. He had a family and kids, and what, he probably pled poverty and said, "Oh, can you give me, an advance on the..." Anyway, she paid him the whole thing up front. It was about $30,000 or something like that. He couldn't pay her back. He was trying to pay her back. She then, in the end, said to him, "Look, you've got to pay me back," because he wasn't doing the work either. So it's not as if she paid him in advance and then he came and did the work. He didn't come and do the work. And so she started to get a bit antsy with him, as you can imagine, a bit arsey. And she said, "Look, you've got to either pay me the money." And then in the end, she said, "I don't even want you to do the work now. I want you to repay me the money. I'm going to get somebody else to do it." And he murdered her because he couldn't give her the money back because he'd spent it all on sniffing it up his nose. So he had no money to give her back. And he killed this poor lady for that reason. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a similar scenario. Do you think Nancy gave somebody some money either for a job or maybe just, to lend them, and then they couldn't pay her back, and then maybe when she started asking for it back, they decided to do this? Now, I don't know. And of course, a lot of people still think it's to do with Savannah, and some grudge against Savannah. A lot of people still think it's family are involved, Annie and Tommaso. Of course, Annie is the other sister. A lot of people still can't move away from the fact that they think Annie is involved or Tommaso, her husband, is involved. Even though, good old Sheriff Nanos, the worst sheriff in history, Deputy Dog, even he said, no, the family's been cleared. But a lot of people can't move away from it. And, I think the reason they can't move away from Annie and Tommaso is just because, it is the thing that makes the most sense. People want things to make sense. Annie and Tommaso were the last people to see Nancy. So people have got another viable, plausible possibility of what happened in this case. I think Annie and Tommaso, sadly for them, nobody's going to move on, no matter what Sheriff Nanos says. A lot of people, well, say nobody, a lot of people don't think it was Tommaso or Annie. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say I would clear them. I don't think the sheriff was right to clear them before he knew who had done it. Not only them, but anybody. You can't clear people when you still don't know who the perpetrator is. It probably isn't them or anything to do with them. But let's not forget their car was taken for a long, long time. But it was checked out, so we can presume that it was okay. It was returned to them eventually. They've not been arrested or, well, apparently everyone's had polygraphs, but again, we haven't been told that officially. Yeah, because Mr. Nanos, Sheriff Nanos, the worst sheriff in history, he cleared all the family and their spouses. So that includes Annie and Tommaso. Savannah, of course. Savannah is the famous one, the host on the Today Show. She's been cleared, and her spouse. And the other sibling, of course, is Cameron, the pilot. So we presume he's been cleared as well. So Sheriff Nanos said all the family and their spouses were cleared, even though he ain't got a bloody clue who it is. So how you can clear them, I don't know. No lo sé, no tengo idea how you can clear people when you don't know who did do it. Anyway, I just want to show you these videos. So there's no new news. To be honest, I just want to keep talking about Nancy. There's no real new news or no further CCTV has been released. We still haven't seen the video from the Uber that Nancy took to Tommaso and Annie's house. And that again is strange, isn't it? Because they took, supposedly Nancy took an Uber to Annie and Tommaso's house, which is literally up the road. I don't understand why they didn't come and get her, because they then, when it was time to go home, they took her home, or Tommaso took her home. I don't know if Annie was in the car with him or not. He took her home. He didn't call an Uber for her to go home. He took her home, watched her go in through the garage door. Was the perpetrator already there in the house, hiding? Yeah, strange, isn't it? We don't know. Of course, Nancy went in through that garage door and she's never been seen since. But I wanted to show, so some videos have come out of Tommaso. I find them quite endearing, actually. I don't think that... I think Tommaso, I understand why Annie and Tommaso have been suspects, just because of them being the last people to see Nancy alive, etc. And of course, Ashley Banfield, she came out and said that he was a suspect, didn't she, weeks ago? And she's not retracted that. In fact, she doubled down on it. She said her sources told her that Tommaso was a suspect. But I just want to tell you then, or show you, these videos that have come out on Jennifer Coffindaffer's ex of Tommaso. It's quite interesting, really. So from what I can gather about Tommaso, He's very popular. He's a teacher at middle school, local. All the parents and the children have come out in support of him. He seems a very popular teacher. But as we've seen recently, just because someone's a teacher doesn't mean to say they're not a piece of shit, of course. But let's have a look at the videos that have come out. I'm just going to turn the sound down. So, of course, he's Italian, Tommaso. Anyway, he was doing this project. Look, POV, you do project with Mr. Sione. I mean, he looks quite scary there, doesn't he? But he's trying to look scary. He's just trying to look serious, isn't he? Let's put it on full. Make sure you can see it. I think you can. Yeah, he looks quite scary, but, you know, that's just that Italian look, I suppose. Forbidding look. There's no speaking on it, by the way. It's just Italian music. So it looks to me like he's got a sense of humour. And now he's doing some break dancing or something. Break dancing. No, it just wanted to show it. I thought it was interesting. It gives you an insight. It seems he's got a sense of humour, gives you an insight into his character. Of course, he plays in a rock band as well. Making ravioli. It's making me hungry now, watching that. And doing a little bit of dancing. Showing off some shapes. Anyway, what do you all think? Do you think it's anything to do with Annie and Tommaso, or are you not on that boat? I don't think so. Do you know what? I think it's easy to blame Annie and Tommaso just because it makes more sense for it to be them, but it could literally be anyone. But I do think it is somebody who knew Nancy. Somebody who knew her house. And I don't think the intent was ever to kidnap her. And I think the ransom notes are bogus. They're a distraction. We've got a long way to go in this case. To find out, will we ever find out? But where is Nancy? Now I still stick by as well, right in the beginning of this case. I think Nancy is in a well somewhere. This is, you know, just my opinion, just a feeling. It's more than a feeling. It was like almost a vision, and you know, you can think that's stupid or whatever, but I've had these kind of things before and been true. So I think she's in some sort of a well. And when I say a well, if you've ever watched The Walking Dead, where they took the walker out of the well on the farm, that's how I see it. She's hidden somewhere. I think she's roundabout. I really do. I don't think she's far. I don't think she's gone to Mexico. Though I know a lot of people do think that, and it's as much a possibility as anything else, isn't it? I just don't feel it. But poor Nancy, I don't feel that. I think all these people that we've talked about, like Jack and Lilly, Nancy, and of course we know Celeste is deceased. Do you know what? You know, wonder, do people get to meet each other in the afterlife? because what they've got in common is they're victims of twonks, even though they didn't know each other. You know, I know it sounds silly, but these are the daft thoughts that go through my head sometimes. You know, you just think, you hope that in the next life, on the next plane, you know, there's none of this sort of hatred and crime and murder and child abduction, etc., don't you? Hopefully all that's gone away. Okay, so sorry, I didn't mean to get philosophical there. I need to go and lie down in a dark room because my headache's coming back. Yeah, I've got a cold. That's all I think. I don't think it's any more than that. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I will be back if there's any news about any of these cases. So please leave your DNA on the like button and on the subscribe button. And but most importantly, take care of yourselves because you are the most important person. Treat yourself to something nice this weekend. Yeah, eat that chocolate, drink that wine. You know, do whatever floats your boat, and that what not, you know, as long as it's within the law, of course. I'll see you really soon in the next video. Till then, I forgot to say hello to my lovely lurkers. Hello, lovely lurkers. Hello, replay crew. And all of you, thank you for watching. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Bye. Thank you.